This room doesn't have an official clock, so I use T-Mobile up here, and it is 6 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Oconee County Planning Commission to order. We are a recommending body to the Oconee Board of Commissioners, and decisions that are made here tonight on rezoning requests and other issues will be forwarded for final decision to the BOC. Tonight's agenda and sign-up sheets were out back, and I saw people getting a chance to sign in. And if you missed that chance, you can raise your hand when I ask for a topic that you might be interested in. There's still a chance. Here's how we do it. The Oconee Planning Department staff is going to present each application and their recommendations to that request. Then I'll ask the petitioner or the petitioner's representative to come up and tell us a little bit more about that project. I'll ask then for any public comment that is in favor of the project. And I try to limit that to about 20 minutes or so, petitioner's input and any positive input. Then I'll ask for anybody that has opposition or things they want to point out themselves in opposition. And I, again, want to try to keep that to about 20 minutes. After that, if there is time remaining and there are questions that the petitioner could answer, might give them an opportunity. Otherwise, I'll save it for when the commissioners are asking their questions. Then we'll close the public comment section, and I'll bring it up here to the commissioners for them to get their questions answered. And then when they quiet down and don't look like they have any more questions, I'll ask for a motion. We'll need a second, and then we'll vote on those motions. We ask the following for the benefit of those present, and we get a few online watchers to please come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and give us an idea of where you live. Then direct your comments to the Planning Commission. We're the ones that have to be convinced one way or another, and not to others in the audience. If there are multiple speakers and you agree with the last one, a lot of people have used the expression ditto, and then they point out any new items that that first person didn't address. And then we ask the audience to extend courtesy by not applauding or commenting from their seats on any of the speakers. And with that, I will ask the commissioners, in your packages, we've got the minutes from last month. And we caught at least one correction. Is there any other corrections to these minutes? Any other things we need to fix? All right, then I'll ask for a motion to approve. Anybody want to give that motion? All right, I saw Stephen first and Jim next. So we have a first and a second. Please raise your right hand if you also agree that minutes are correct. All right, thank you. That's unanimous. And so with that, I'll ask Mr. Guy to give us our first project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Your first case this evening is special use P250228, Oconee Medical Properties LLC applicant and owner. This is parcel C01006A, currently zoned AG in the Regional Center Character Area. And the applicant is requesting special use approval for a contractor's office, showroom, warehouse, corporate area with limited outdoor storage within a privacy fenced area. You have the recorded plat in your packets, the proposed concept plan, architectural images submitted with the application. Staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Number 4, all outdoor storage must be located in a side or rear yard and must be screened from public streets and residential districts by an opaque imitation wood vinyl fence or freestanding wall no less than 12 feet in height. Number 5, no required parking spaces, required landscape area, or any other required site element shall be used for outdoor storage. Number 6, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade materials matching the exterior of the principal structure with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. Number 7, this site shall have no access to Silver Leaf Road. Number 8, The total building square footage shall not exceed 20,000 square feet as shown on the concept plan dated October 10th, 2025. Number 9, all loading areas shall be screened by an opaque imitation wood vinyl fence or freestanding wall no less than 8 feet in height. Number 10, to mitigate the impacts to adjacent established residential uses, the site shall observe the following hours of operation, including receiving of deliveries and use of the warehouse area. A, weekdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sundays, 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have Mr. Bell, you're going to represent. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning Commission members, my name's Ken Bell, Bell and Company. And we prepared the zoning documents, the special use documents that you'll be acting on this evening. Coincidentally, I see some new faces, and so I'm not sure that you all are familiar with the fact that we are a company who our business is located in Oconee County, and I've been presenting to commissions like this for over 35 years in Oconee County and surrounding counties. And we've done a lot of the work that you pass by every day, no matter where you're driving to or from in Oconee County, you're going to pass examples of our projects. So we have a great deal of experience in doing what we do. We've been doing it for a long time. Our office is physically located in Oconee County in the Summit Office Park off of Mars Hill Road. And I want to appreciate the staff for the very favorable, what I perceive to be a very favorable recommendation of approval. And we have no problems with any of the conditions that have been suggested to be attached to the special use request. Our clients, Tim Burgess and Gavin Griffith, Tim resides in Oconee County and has for a very long time. Gavin lives outside the county, but they've managed their business from Oconee County offices for the last 20 years. And they are the developers that are responsible for some projects that you may be familiar with. 316 Professional Quarter is one of those on Virgil Langford Road. The project Caduceus, which is a medical office park basically on Virgil Langford Road. The Piedmont Health Center, which is on Virgil Langford Road. Virgil Langford and Jennings Mill Road. And then across on Jennings Mill Road, there's the project called Connector 1357, where the commercial bank is, advanced gynecology is, and university vascular is. And then across from that project across the Oconee Connector is their current project under construction, Research Quarter Business Center, where the Goddard School has recently been given their certificate of occupancy. 3 buildings and a medical center are under construction and will be acquiring certificates within the next 60 days. And there's a hotel planned also to go on that property. And so they are very experienced developers. They've owned this site for nearly 11 years. But they've, over that 11-year period, they've moved their office headquarters from one project to the next, and they'd like to have a project that they can settle into and not have to move every few years. So that is the plan that's before you. If that's the building that they want to build for their purposes, it'll be their corporate headquarters, 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet of office in the front, and the rest storage in the rear. We've presented a plan that we think can realistically be constructed as shown that you'll be acting on. They do not have a large staff of employees. There are only about 6 of them right now. Most of the people that they hire are subcontractors and don't go to this type of building for any purposes on a daily basis. So we would very much appreciate a favorable recommendation. That's all I have to have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have that relate to the development of this property. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I don't have anybody else signed up to speak in favor of this special use change. Did anybody miss signing up? All right. There'll be some time left over then, and I'll go ahead and open it up to those that want to speak in opposition. Mr. Harold Thompson, you got to sign up first.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Harold Thompson, and I live at 1100 Silverleaf Road. So my backyard backs up onto this property that's being proposed for the special use plan. So right now, I'm opposing the special use permit. The property that backs up to my backyard is zoned agricultural, and I don't think a 17,000 square foot warehouse belongs there. It just doesn't seem to fit with the nature of the property and the nature of the way that our subdivision's been developed. But before I even get there, what I didn't hear in the presentation was why this was all needed. I mean, this company is in operation today. They have sites that are already developing, so they clearly work somewhere. So I couldn't figure out exactly why they needed to move to this building, to have this building, the 3,000 square foot office space built, or the warehouse to be built. I could not get out of the presentation that I just heard why those were actually needed. So I'm opposed to it because I just don't know that much about it. And I also just don't think that a facility that large belongs that close to a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have John Mills signed up.
Good evening. My name is John Mills. I live at 1050 Colorado Bend, which is also in the Silverleaf neighborhood. And I put myself on the opposed list, but I'm not sure that I'm completely opposed to this project, and I'm not. I spoke to Mr. Beal earlier, and if we look at the concept plan, the biggest concern that I have, and there's a couple of things I would like y'all to consider adding as special conditions, is there's some existing tree canopy marked on here, and for the most part, this is a wooded lot with a clear cut in the center of the lot, almost where the building footprint is, done by a prior owner, I believe. I've lived in the neighborhood for 15 years. I remember when it happened. I don't remember what year it was, but I think it was before these folks bought it. That I think without permitting, they came in and cut some trees out and then abandoned the project. And so you've got this clear cut area already. There's a little bit of a grade difference, I believe, from speaking to Mr. Bell, that it's maybe 8 feet grade difference between where the Silverleaf Road is and where they're going to actually put the building. And so obviously they're going to be digging out some dirt and moving things around. But from talking to him, it doesn't seem like there's any dispute that their plan is to leave the existing canopy as is at the front right of the concept plan that adjoins Silverleaf Road. If you see where the driveway comes in, it then opens up to where the building is. And there's sort of a little side area where there's a privacy fence marked. The staff recommended to put a 12-foot privacy fence there. I think that's based on the elevation issue. And the tree canopy will have to be cut there, of course, to be able to make way for that parking area. And there's, I think, going to be a roll-up door and maybe a break area. But then the tree canopy both, gets wide again up until where we see the septic tank area. Of course, you're going to have to grade for the septic tank area. And then there's a backup septic area, which would not need to be graded or clear cut. And so we've got 100 feet at least between, you've got the 50-foot zoning buffer on the back end that adjoins Mr. Thompson's property, as well as the other lot owners on the backside. And so if you leave all that existing canopy, we're basically putting this big building, which, I don't love the idea of a 17,000 square foot commercial building next to my house, but if it's covered in trees on almost all sides, from our view, it's going to be a lot better than what the other opportunities for this project could be. And I recall a time in 2015 when they had presented another project proposal, and no disrespect to the current planner or architect, but he was on that one too. But it had 6 retail/medical buildings and a lot more intensity on the use, a lot more people, a lot more pavement, a lot more buildings. And I feel blessed with the opportunity to potentially have a building stuck back there. They own the property. We understand that. We didn't buy it, they did. And I think they have a right to build on it. We just would like to protect our residential nature of our driveway, our entranceway into the neighborhood by protecting the canopy. So condition 1, keep the existing canopy, prohibit clear cutting except as shown on the concept plan. I don't believe they oppose that. And there's no realistic reason why they would want to clear cut trees that aren't in the middle of their project. So we're asking you to impose that as a recommendation. And then also, as far as the fence goes, in lieu of a 12-foot fence that's down here, we're proposing build a retaining wall and just put the fence at the top of the retaining wall. So that way, when you're looking towards the building from Silverleaf Road, you're looking at a level fence that is maybe a little easier to maintain for them, and it would protect more of the building from view on Silverleaf Road than if you build the fence at grade level after they do their clear cut and grading for the building. Next, this project does not involve any capacity to support semi-trucks. And my understanding from talking to them, and I have no reason to not believe them, is they're not bringing semi-trucks to deliver materials there. This is more for overflow, extra stuff from a different project that's closed out. It would be delivered on a box truck kind of thing. We would like a prohibition on semi-trucks because it's just not safe. The only way they could bring a semi-truck over there would be to park in the decel lane, which would be a violation of law, but also create a safety risk for the people coming into our neighborhood. And so, I'm not sure if that's within your scope of what y'all can do, but I think that semi-trucks should be prohibited because there's just no way to manage those safely without impacting traffic on Jimmy Daniel Road. And then obviously the hours, in the staff recommendation, there was some pretty reasonable hours that were listed. My understanding is that the owner is not opposing those, and we just want to make sure that gets included in y'all's recommendation. And with that, I believe that this is the best that we're going to get for our neighborhood, and we're not opposed. Subject to those requests, we're not opposing it, or I'm not opposing it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bell, I heard a couple of things, but I'm going to hold you off and see if these questions come up from the commissioners. So I'm going to ask, is there anybody else that wants to speak on the subject of this project 250228? Okay, I see a hand raised. Up, introduce yourself at the podium.
Hello, all. Thank you for letting me speak, Commissioner Board. I agree with Mr. Bell. I wasn't sure how to word it.
Let me get your name and address. I think you
sorry.
came in after I gave the,
I apologize.
SOP.
It's Matt Rogers.
okay,
I'm 1460 Julian Drive
Okay.
in Deerbrook. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be opposed or for, and I just was trying to get details on the property because our greatest concern is the traffic control coming through. I do a lot in automation, so I know that these large facilities, distribution centers, 18-wheelers, those are a big concern. And then we already have an issue with traffic coming through Silverleaf, through our subdivision, cutting out on 316. So the employees, office staff, stuff like that, are we going to do anything to control, anybody cutting through the subdivision any more than they already are? And that's all I had to say.
all right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So again, Mr. Bell, I think he came in just after you did your presentation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Bell's projecting that they won't have more than 10 or 12 employees at this location. That's one answer to your couple of questions, and we'll see if these guys have similar ones. So again, I'm going to ask if there anybody else that wants to speak on the subject of this project. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. I'm sorry, Mr. Guy wants my attention.
I believe the applicant has time remaining for rebuttal.
Okay, go ahead and
Thank you.
address that. Mr. Bell, let's go ahead and ask you about the canopy question, and then I guess go ahead and confirm information from Matt how big a operation this is gonna be.
Yeah, concerning the canopy, generally speaking, our client doesn't want to remove any more trees than is necessary to have a fully functioning project. And so you can see the components that we know have to be there to meet all the different code requirements that Oconee County has. So we'll prepare a preliminary site plan that shows more detail that'll have to go through the county's approval process. Then we'll prepare construction plans. And in going through those exercises, we may discover some things that we need to do, which we wouldn't be allowed to do if you just said, you can only clear what you've showed clearing on this plan, because we haven't done a grading plan yet. We've only done a conceptual plan to try to save as many trees as we can. But if the soils, just as an example, if the soils turn out not to be good for septic tanks, where we've shown drain fields, we don't have sewer access. So we have to have the latitude to address the things that we need to comply with to meet other code requirements. So if that means we have to adjust the locations, then we got to adjust those locations. So seemingly that wouldn't be taking down more trees. It would just mean maybe where they want us to preserve the trees, we can't. But I mean, I did tell the gentleman that spoke, we'll work with them in any way that we can, but we still have to meet the requirements of the codes, and we don't have sanitary sewer. So there's going to be 2 drain field areas, one that has to be cleared and one that may need to be cleared in the future. So I just want you to temper any extra conditions about preserving all trees with the knowledge of that situation.
I'm the one that always has to figure out how to write it up, so I understand. Now, one other question that he had was the idea of the fencing, and I think it's split between the county's requirements and y'all, but would
The
you?
fencing, it's pretty clear. You can see where, if you can read a contour map, contours are the dashed lines that represent elevations. And there's a 2-foot contour interval. That means there's 2 feet of fall or rise between every contour that you see on that plan. Clearly, there was some earlier cut done on that side. Which is the Silverleaf Road side of the project, the access road to Silverleaf. So we can handle that, what was suggested, in 2 ways. It can be handled as a potential retaining wall, or it could be handled as a cut slope with a 3-to-1 slope as an example. So we can still we can still build a fence on top of where the existing grade is, and maybe have a retaining wall or maybe have a cut slope. The wall itself, location, would not change. It would still be on the higher ground that is not graded away.
All right, we'll leave it right there for the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Once again, I didn't see anybody else come in, but I'll ask once more. And now I will close the public comment section and bring it up here to the commissioners for their own concerns and questions.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Go ahead, Jim.
Mr. Here, could you put up here on the screen, I have my plan showing what it's gonna look like.
Yes.
But I think the good folks who have come here interested might want to see it. But will you put and let me ask Mr. Bell to come and describe, tell us in the audience here what this is gonna do. Would you please, sir? Thank you.
Well, thank you. I was going to ask you to do that. Yeah, this is the special use permit conceptual plan. It's a requirement that we turn in with any special use request. You can see Jimmy Daniel Road on the right. There is already a decel lane for Silverleaf subdivision, which is north of the intersection of Silverleaf Drive and Jimmy Daniel Road. So we would basically be going near the end of what's there and extending it to be longer, so that it would be a longer deceleration lane than what's out there today. The drive comes in toward the northern corner, curves in toward the middle of the building, and then what you see is a drive that goes around the northern side of the building and a drive that goes around the southern side of the building. Now, when the architects prepared the plans originally, the building that they presented was kind of a mirror image of what we've shown here. We intentionally did not want to have the roll-up doors on the subdivision street side of the project. So we mirrored it so that there would only be one roll-up door behind a fence that you won't be able to see from the street, and then put all the 4 other roll-up doors on the other side of the building. But I think back to the main question that you may have, where we're making the turn on the parking area to get from the front of the building to the southern side, you can see where the curve is getting closer to Silverleaf Drive. That is the area where we envision that a retaining wall or a cut slope would need to be installed to make the grade change. And the land is going up as you move to the west. So the wall itself may be higher on the left than it is on the right, but it still would be behind the fence. So that's why we presented it that way. There is a fence shown between the parking curbs of the parking lot and the ground beyond. And then on the left side, coming off at an angle, is where the 2 septic tank drain fields are presently proposed to be located. And to specifically address that, that could be that one of those has good soils and the other one doesn't. So we might have to kind of come closer to the road with the one. We don't know the soil conditions yet. And it wouldn't result in more trees being cleared. They'd just be cleared at a different location.
So the offices I see are toward the Jimmy Daniels side, and then the back where the roll-up doors is your warehouse. Is that correct?
Yeah, the office component is the front rectangle that you see on the plan. And the larger portion of the building is the warehouse portion.
And then is this, do I see outdoor storage on the far west end?
And that is in an enclosed area with a 12-foot wall or fence.
I see. And then I see the contour lines, but are you telling me that the ground goes up to the subdivision?
It does go up to the
So
subdivision.
this would be lower down than the house?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bell, one more question. So the retaining wall or fence would be, it would be buffer and then the fence, that 15-foot buffer that's in the green?
That's correct.
If I'm reading that right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be existing trees, new buffer, and fence between the building and Silverleaf Drive. Thank
Anything
you.
else for Mr. Bell before we go? One more. That one? Yep.
Based on the light circulation, I don't know if you could fit a tractor trailer in there and park it, get it out.
There wasn't any intention that tractor trailers would be coming in here. It's really short trucks, delivery type trucks, going from a job site, or flatbed trucks going from a job site with leftover materials to store until the next job. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I've got 2 questions for Guy. So on their concept, they've got the 8-foot privacy fence, but y'all recommended the 12-foot.
The 12-foot is around the outdoor storage in the rear.
So then the 8-foot privacy, then along the side of the wall and all, is that height
satisfactory to stream as is without adding.
Yeah, the staff believes it is because it's going to be at the top of the slope, as Mr. Bell has indicated.
And then second follow-up, Mr. Thompson, talking about use, obviously not used to a large warehouse. We call it like this in the ag zone, but with this special use, it is allowable with it being on the standard.
That's right. The code would allow the request for this type of special use, and obviously the planning commission can make a recommendation one way or the other, and obviously the board can take final action on that.
Anybody else for this guy? Mr. Herring, the opaque fence is, I take it that this could be a chain link fence with the slats in it?
No, I believe our condition was imitation wood vinyl.
Okay, so a chain link fence with slats would not be permitted.
That's right. Let's look at our condition and make sure. That's right. So you'll see number 4 there. It's a imitation wood vinyl fence or freestanding wall.
Okay, very good. Thank
sir.
you. I just wanted clarification.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Concerns up here. All right. So I guess this is the time. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I start looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve P 25. With condition.
I have, Colby doing even your, look with those hands today. All right. So I have a first and a second to approve with conditions as staff has recommended. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous for this crowd. We'll forward that up to the BOC for one more go at it, but that has been approved. With that, Mr. Herring, please present 0272.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. You have rezone P25-0272, William Kurt McClellan, Joseph Merrill Hale, the third applicants and owner. This is a portion of parcel B 02074BA, currently zoned AG in the suburban neighborhood character area. And the applicant is requesting to rezone 5 acres of the parcel from AG to AR for 2 lots. This is the recorded plat in your application packet. This is the concept plan showing the 5 acres to be rezoned to AR for 2 2.5 acre lots. Architectural images submitted with the application, and staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Thank you.
Mr. Herring, real quick, I noticed that I have 2 of these in my packet. Is that just a mistake?
No, sir, there was a typo in the first version, so go with the second.
All right, thank you. With that, I will ask Mr. Pittman to represent.
Good evening. I'm Frank Pittman with Pittman and Greer Engineering. We're at 1050 Barber Creek Drive. Here representing the property owner, Mr. Kirk McClellan, who's also here, so he's available for any questions you guys may have for him as well. As Mr. Herring mentioned, we're talking about a 5 acre tract, 2251 Clopfelter Road. It's currently zoned ag, and the proposal would be to zone it to AR so that he could split this into 2 tracts, minimum of 2 acres each. This is right across Clopfelter from the R1 subdivision that you guys just approved. I guess it's probably been 2 months now. So there's R1 around, there's some AR around, there's some AR3 around. It's a highly residential area, kind of the northern end of Clopfelter Road. It's in the suburban neighborhood character area, which does support this rezone. The staff has also recommended approval. And so we're here tonight to answer any questions and ask for y'all's recommendation. Thank you.
For the record, we put 10 years delay on that one, so. Just wondered. All right, I was kidding around, sorry. I have, Mr. McClellan also, do you want to add anything or just leave it for now? Okay. All right. I don't have anybody else that signed up to speak in favor, but I'll ask, is anybody come in late and want to speak? I guess on either side of this, rezone. All right, I don't have anybody getting my attention, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it a little early and bring it up to the commission, seeing that we don't have too much. What else we got to talk about here? No questions? Anybody? Anybody? All right, now I will fish for a motion.
I move we approve P 250272 with staff recommendation.
Recommendations approved. Okay. I have first from Chris, who wants to be a second. Oh, there you go. And a second in. So now I have with conditions, a motion to approve. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. With that, we'll move on to the next project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, your next case is rezone P 250273 LCN Oconee LLC, applicant and owner. This is parcel C 028J001, currently zoned OBP in the regional center character area. And the applicant is requesting a change to the previous zoning case 5397 that was approved December 2nd, 2008, where it was zoned OBP, to modify conditions with an updated concept plan. The changes requested are to the concept plan and conditions, reduce the overall building size from a single 112,070 square foot office warehouse to 7 buildings with office warehouse flex space with a total of 66,750 square feet. Change the conditions of the required transportation improvements due to a reduction in the average daily trips from 1258 to 371. Request to allow all uses in the OBP permitted by right, except the following to be disallowed: automotive repair, maintenance, dry cleaning and laundry services, automobile driving schools with on-site driving courses. This is the recorded plat in your application packet, the proposed concept plan, the architectural images submitted with the application. And staff recommends conditional approval with our 3 standard conditions. Number 4, service areas and dumpsters shall be visually screened from public view by a 6-foot masonry wall with facade materials matching the exterior of principal structures with black painted metal steel enclosure doors. Enclosure doors made of wood or chain link are prohibited. No required parking spaces, required landscape area, or any other required site element shall be used for outdoor storage. Number 6, no merchandise or display are allowed to be stored in parking or drive aisle areas. This includes any use of tractor trailers or shipping containers used for excess storage. Number 7, total square footage of all buildings shall not exceed 66,750 square feet. Number 8, deceleration lanes shall be installed connecting to the 2 entrances on Daniels Bridge Road per the Public Works comments. Number 9, to mitigate the impacts to adjacent established residential uses, the site shall observe the following hours of operation, including receiving of deliveries and use of the warehouse area: weekdays 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Number 10, in lieu of the required landscape strip and vehicle use area screening along Daniels Bridge Road, an enhanced buffer shall be installed as follows: evergreen shrubs, 10 per 100 linear feet with a planting height of 36 inches. A double row of staggered evergreen trees with a planting density of 11 green arborvitae per 100 linear feet of property frontage closest to the right-of-way. Minimum 10 feet planting at height at time of planting. Number 2, 10 Arizona cypress Carolina sapphire per 100 linear feet of property frontage, minimum 12 feet height at time of planting. Final design of the enhanced buffer shall be approved by the Director of Planning and Code Enforcement. Number 11, the landscape strip along Georgia Loop 10 shall contain 1 tree per 25 lineal feet of landscape strip. Said trees shall be a mixture of evergreen and deciduous trees and of species that will attain a normal height at maturity of more than 40 feet. Number 12, all buildings shall have at least 80% of exterior wall surfaces be brick, masonry, brick veneer, stone veneer, or glass, or combination thereof. Additional primary and accent materials are allowed as indicated in UDC section 30603. Number 13, the following uses as listed in your packet are allowed in the OBP zoning districts, but shall not be allowed as this condition. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I guess, Mr. Robinson, are you the representative?
Yes, yeah. Chris Robinson, I'm with Crojo LLC, the applicant, along with my partner, Joe Polonitsky. I'm local to the county. I live at 1571 Flat Rock Road. And we've also done another development in the county that will have that has a similar branding, South Park at Colony Square, right behind the Rachel's and the new Brett's. So also office warehouse space. One of the things, like Guy was saying, the original rezone in 2008 had a 112,000 square foot building on it on 2 levels, 337 parking spaces, 1,258 average daily trips as estimated, and about 67% site coverage. What we're proposing would be to keep the same zoning OBP, but to reduce the amount of total square footage in 7 buildings instead of in 1 building. One of those buildings would be 2-story. The rest of them would be 1-story. Parking spaces somewhere, no more than 213. What we have learned, like on our last project, is that we just don't have enough overall parking. So, I know that when we submit a concept plan, we could go less than that. Like when we submit our preliminary plan or our construction plans, but we can't go more than that. So 213 is the max that we would have on parking. The average daily trips down to 371, which is a drastic reduction from was what's already approved there today. And somebody could actually go ahead and put in their plans to build today, and a site coverage down to 37%. Some of our, we'll see here. We have that one. Oh, yeah, that's okay. We do have some objections to the conditional requirements. Items 1 through 7, we're fine with. Item 8, deceleration lane shall be installed connecting to the 2 entrances at Daniels Bridge Road per Public Works comments. Public Works brought up section 1013-04, I'm sorry, 1013.04, which actually talks about average daily trips greater than 500 vehicles per day. Since we'll have less than 500 vehicles per day, we are proposing that we use 1013.04C, which would be multifamily and non-residential development projects projected to generate an average daily trips less than 500 vehicles per day, and having an entrance on a minor collector, major collector, or arterial street shall install offset radii and 50-foot tapers at those 2 entrances. Number 9, to mitigate the impacts to adjacent established residential uses, the site shall observe the following hours of operations. You guys can see that in front of you: 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on weekdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturdays, and 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. We would propose that this requirement be removed for these reasons. We'll see. This requirement has not been on any other rezone modification request except for the one today before us, on properties that face residential or AR properties. The back of our property is the back of the property has a loop. The front of the property is Daniels Bridge Road. There's also, we're proposing an enhanced buffer along the front of Daniels Bridge Road to kind of shield the front of the buildings. And we've also got a 50-foot undisturbed buffer, a requirement, against the neighboring property to the east, which would provide plenty of buffer from neighboring properties. This is a good time to mention as well. This property, when it was rezoned back in 2008, at that time, they were going to put in, or they were talking about putting in Daniels Bridge extension over to the Oconee connector. At that time, one of the requirements for that rezone was that the landowners deeded to the county an additional 35 feet of right of way along the whole front of the property. So we're actually set back quite a ways, even from every other property that's around us. And I'll get more into that as we talk about more of these restrictions. The other thing is that Oconee County already has a noise ordinance in place. That's section 26-32. No person shall create or cause to be created an excessive, loud, or disturbing noise within the incorporated area of the county between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. And we're also, going to the next one, we're also in the character area of regional center. Every parcel around us in the future will potentially be commercial. So all of the residential properties across the road from us, there's four homes there across the road from us that are part of the regional center character area, and then also next door to us as well. Moving on to number 10. In lieu of a required landscape strip and vehicle use area screening along Daniels Bridge Road, an enhanced buffer shall be installed as follows. This is talking about evergreen shrubs, giant arborvitae, Arizona cypress, Carolina sapphire. We proposed as part of a variance on this same parcel, an enhanced landscaping strip along Daniels Bridge Road. However, with the depth of the property, this condition here is not buildable or sustainable, and I'll get more into that here. Arborvitae at full size will grow to be between 12 and 18 feet wide. Arizona cypress, Carolina sapphire at full size will grow to be 15 to 20 feet wide. And the requirement here is asking us to plant them 5 to 6 feet apart at planting, which does not allow enough room for growth without causing problems. Another thing that's in the UDC or the code, all trees and shrubs must be planted 4 feet from the right of way, which only leaves us 11 feet to the parking area, which is not enough room for this condition. Let's see here. I spoke about the additional 35 feet right of way, which doesn't really leave us enough room front to back on the property to push everything back to work this in. So I would propose that this be removed as a requirement and the conditions of the rezone modification, and we can handle this as part of the variance process and conditions. Number 11. The landscape strip along the Georgia Loop 10 shall contain 1 tree per 25 linear feet of landscape strip. Said trees shall be a mixture of evergreen and deciduous trees and species that will attain a normal height and maturity of more than 40 feet. On the concept plan, we have left a 35-foot undisturbed buffer along the whole back of the property. So we're requesting that this be taken out, and we will augment open areas as necessary for the county landscape strip requirements. In the code, it does say is existing trees which are preserved within the landscape strips and properly protected during construction by keeping 75% of the trees existing drip line undisturbed may be counted towards tree planting requirements. And then number 12, because we are, and I understand, wanting to have 80% of the exterior walls be brick, stone, or similar materials, or actually it does say brick veneer, stone veneer, or glass. But, we're so shielded here with a front, or with a 35-foot buffer on the back and 50 feet on the sides and along an enhanced buffer along or enhanced landscape strip along the front. I would request that this be changed to 50%, which is keeping with, other previous rezone modification requests from other similar developments, like over at Research Quarter, and some other places as well. So happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time.
Alrighty. So I don't have anybody else speaking in favor. I know your partner's there, but I assume no additional comment. Okay. Now I do have a couple of speaking in opposition. I'm a little worried that one might be in the lobby, but we'll see. Laura Clements, sorry for my pronunciation.
Good evening. My name is Laura Clemenson. I live on 1931 Daniels Bridge Road. I'm here representing my family and my husband, Dr. Clemenson. He's out on a work trip, but I brought the whole family. We have heard about this rezoning recently, and as residents of Daniels Bridge Road, I am mostly concerned about the traffic. I do understand that the plan does mention the reduction of the daily trips. However, Daniels Bridge Road, even at this point, the speed limit is 45 miles an hour, and we do have a problem a lot of times. I do try to keep my kids safe, obviously not going over there. So it's mostly Daniels Bridge Road it's been home for us for 6 years. We have lived there. All our kids were, born and we have lived in that street. And it's mostly residential. And I do see in the proposal, I had a little time to read it. And I think that in the proposal, it does mention that eventually something will happen. Eventually, it will be a commercial, there'll be more commercial space eventually. And I'm here to oppose and say that hopefully that we'll be able to keep Daniels Bridge Road mostly residential and keep our roads safer. And yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to say. Enough of it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Now also the Sandra Rupp. Oh, now you have to swap out. Okay, got it. Is Sandra coming up? Okay.
Yes, I'm Sandra Shemp, and I live at 1260 Twin Lakes Road. It's in Birchmore Hills. It's in the subdivision. And I speak on behalf of Wellbrook Lakes as well as Wellbrook Farms. Daniels Bridge Road in that area has all subdivisions all the way down through until we get to the state land where we have some cows and so on. Cotton fields down there as well. And so I'm just presenting the fact that we, on one side of that piece of land that we're talking about, we have medical facilities, professional facilities. The other side, we have all residential area. And Daniels Bridge Road has been looked at many, many times about making it industrial. And I think bringing in this facility with industrial doors facing out towards the road and sitting right there as an ugly thorn in between them is not a good idea at all. So as a resident of the area, a warehouse facility, we have lots of them in Oconee County, but to be right there in that area, that is very professional and residential right now. I disapprove of that, and I hope that you will take that into consideration. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, I don't have anybody else signed up to speak in opposition, but did anybody come in late, wants to address any issues? All right. One question for Mr. Robinson before we close public. The staff did also recommend many additional disallowed. I didn't hear you speak on that topic. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, the disallowed, we're good. We're good with that.
Okay. All right. So we'll see what. All right. So I will close, if nobody needs to speak on this project, I'm gonna go ahead and close the public comment section and bring it up here. You guys. Let me know who you want to come up and answer your question.
I'll just start, Miss, no, that's your last name. I take this route home to and from work every day, and so I completely understand your sentiment about, peaceful driving by the university land, go through the residential, and then obviously commercialized once you get towards, St. Mary's office and all. But I do, I mean, that's not, all city truth there, but it is, I guess for us at least, important to remember the future land use does have this to allow for this type of use, and I think the outcomes more than helpful as far as the traffic and bringing down the building square footages, lowering the ADTs. I definitely think that big benefit. This project, so I think that is just something to.
And I'll add that as a committee member that put together the planning for the 30 years in the future, we don't have a crystal ball. We just say that if it's gonna happen and if it's necessary, these are the sort of areas. So we're not saying people have to move out of their houses or anything. All right.
Increased tremendously with Marsville construction going on. The amount of traffic that we have has.
All right.
increased tremendously. I
it-
think changing it into being an industrial area and not a good idea. You
Okay.
give okay for one and give okay for all.
Colby addressed you personally, and I'll let you finish up, but I have closed the public comment section, so I'll go ahead and, anybody else have questions that we need to get addressed?
Ask the petitioner, please. You mentioned 50% brick masonry, brick veneer, stone and glass. What are you talking, what other veneer would you use?
I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but in the code, you can use, hardy plank and stuff like that as well. I mean, I don't know if you can go back to our, representative photos to kind of show. Yeah, so I mean, we could take this and we could do, brick on half of that and hardy plank on another half. It does, I guess it also does show in the code that, up to 20% could be metal accents. So, instead of the brick, on one side, you could do maybe metal in the middle there where the walk-through doors are. So just different materials. We like to think outside the box. We want something that's going to look good and stand the test of time. But we also don't want to look like everybody else in the county. So
Are you thinking about drive it?
that could be an option as well. Yes. So,
While you're up, like,
Yeah.
could you give some flavor as to what businesses would be outside of the recommended hours?
My main concern there is like, this is tailored towards small businesses. If a guy's there, he's the sole employee, he's the owner of the business, and he's got to be there at 10 o'clock at night, finishing up a project so they can deliver it the next day or ship it out the next day. I just hate for him to not be able to do that because of the limitations in the hours. They do have, or actually what we've used before and what we'll use again, insulated garage doors. Everything will be insulated. From what we've found out now or what we know, where we're at behind Rachel's, we haven't heard anything from neighbors as far as noise complaints go. So that's just kind of where we're at. We're very picky on who we, lease to, just to make sure everybody fits well together and can, be a good neighbor to everybody as well. So.
Before you go on Chris's, the way I'm reading this condition is it's primarily the receiving and delivery to the warehouse section that's would be objectionable outside those hours. If somebody was sitting in their office or inside the space doing their own thing, I don't see that that could be objected.
Well, it says use of the warehouse area. So if, you know, if it was a woodworker or a metal worker or something like that, they wouldn't be able to use the warehouse area. So that's the way that I interpreted it. So. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Herring, let's go ahead and have you speak to that condition. Is that your intention, by that condition, if there was a big woodworking machine or metal grinding going on, would that violate this premise, or is it mainly the deliveries and such that they?
Yes, so we're saying shall observe the following hours of operation, including receiving deliveries and use of the warehouse area. I believe the office space would be fine to be used, but the warehouse area would be objectionable. Mhm. Yep.
I guess while we have you, any comments on his objections to the planting scheme? Or did we take that? one out of the
Staff
planting?
stands by their recommendation.
I've got a question for you.
Mhm.
I assume you're talking about the consent.
Yeah.
So for that one, I guess a little clarification on what the reason is why they are only allowed 4 feet off the right of way, or why they have to be 4 feet off the right of way for the planting and not any closer.
Yeah, that's a code section that tries to protect the clear zone in the right of way. So in this instance, because of that additional right of way that was acquired for any future widening, you know, that the 4 feet may be something that could be worked into the condition to be varied, such that it's the condition would allow those shrubs to go within 2 feet of the right of way, or maybe give them a little more room as opposed to the 4 feet.
I think that's what I put down.
Right, there you go. Yes,
Based
sir.
off the 12-foot.
Right.
Work a little bit better.
Yeah, and this is actually a condition we've taken from a previous rezone. I don't, if you're familiar with Cliff Dawson, the GD, the John Haddon Farms there, that row is what where this condition came from.
Was this same planting the 11 per 100?
Yeah, that's right. That's it. Mhm.
Okay. And then number 12, about the 80%.
Mhm.
I know I've been on at least. This is very standard. We do this.
That's
for
right. It
all
is.
of it.
And the Kevin Price development over on Jimmy Daniel is one very similar. It's an office warehouse, roll-up doors in the back, and obviously the buildings are all brick.
Well, the
80%.
Jamestown, too, they have
That's right.
That one's all brick. isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Right. Right. That'll be analyzed with through Public Works. So that at this point that wouldn't be determined, but we'll look at that. But I will say that the objection to the decel lane, it's a misinterpretation of the code. So it's that the road itself is a minor collector, and it has over 500 trips per day. So the code would require those 2 decel lanes, as Public Works has stated.
Another question for you. Number 11 with the landscape strip around Loop 10.
Right.
So the Athens Fitness Center, was this same similar landscape strip required for that one? Or was that one just a?
I'm not familiar with that one, but that had a tremendous elevation change, right, from Loop 10. But this also would allow for any existing trees to act as those shade trees for every 25. So even though this requires that one be there, if there's an existing shade tree, obviously we don't want to clear that and plant a new one. So that the code would allow for those existing trees to be used.
All right. Anybody else? So. Yes, looking for a motion. I understand them. All right, so motion with conditions?
Yes, I'm gonna need guys' help on this one probably. The 2 foot right of way planning, do we need to add that on to condition number 10, or do we need to add condition?
You would amend condition number 10 to include that.
All conditions by adding to number 10. Then
I'm gonna make notes on my copy and see if that's sufficient. Usually it works. Allow planting within 2 feet. Right. All right, so you have proposed the motion to approve changing only condition 10. Is that all I understand? And the other motions go on up. If the applicant wants to deal with them, he can talk to the DOC. So I have Colby with an approval condition and mod.
Second.
Colby and Chris. First and second. All in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous. We'll send that on up to the Board of Commissioners and address any other issues up there. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn. Oh. Yeah. All right, we got it. So motion to adjourn, do I need to call on the ones that didn't get a motion? No one. There you go. And according to Robert's rules, I need a second. There goes Stephen. Got quick hands today. And with that, we vote with our feet. All right. Thank you all.